Prime Minister Mark Carney will be speaking with premiers today after saying Canada's long-standing relationship with the U.S. is no more.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
Carney saying it is time to pivot Canada's reliance away from the U.S. For more on what that would look like, I'm joined by Ian Lee, Associate Professor at the Sprott School of Business in Ottawa this morning. Welcome.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
I want to ask you, how realistic is it to have this autonomy that Mr. Carney is speaking about?
With the greatest respect to Mark Carney, who I do respect, he's a highly intelligent, educated individual, but we have to be evidence-based. We share a house. Our marriage is in trouble, America and Canada. We live in the North American continent. 40 million Canadians are not moving out because we want to get a divorce. Neither are the 340 million Americans going to leave their half of the house. We've got to start talking. The marriage is in trouble. I completely agree with that. Lots of trouble. That means we've got to talk face to face and stop threatening each other. Let me just talk quickly about Europe, because I'm just surprised that because he is such an intelligent and educated individual, Mr. Carney, his friend, Mario Draghi, also PhD in economics, former governor of the European Central Bank and Premier of Italy, published a report only 2 or 3 months ago saying that European Union economy is in crisis. Collapsing productivity, collapsing competitiveness. Let me just throw a couple of quick metrics out. Their GDP, their income, average income per person is 1/2 of the United States. The poorest state in the entire U.S., Mississippi, has roughly the same income per person as the richest state in Europe called Germany. Mm-hmm. They have a serious problem, like we do, by the way. We have collapsing productivity. Yeah. We have collapsed competitiveness. So the solution is not to say I'm going to take our $1 trillion of trade both ways, which is what we have with the U.S., and somehow lift it up and carry it 10,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean. It's not credible. I do believe in diversification, trade diversification, which points to our real problem, that our lack of competitiveness has been engineered by policies that have inhibited or prohibited competition, prohibited selling of our resources. Germany came begging for LNG last year, and we said, go away. So did Japan and South Korea. There's an op-ed in the Globe yesterday morning by a geopolitical analyst in Germany. He says, let's be clear. He says, we don't want your cars. We want your natural resources.
Right.
And yet we've been blocking the development of our resources. You know, no pipeline bill, tanker ban bill, right. Caps on production oil and gas. We have been shooting ourselves in the foot for years. We've got to address that's the real problem in this campaign. It is not the fact that we've got a very bad relationship right now with our partner.
But we do have to make our way in this disagreement, as you described it. So where do we even start as a country? If autonomy is not possible, we do have to find a way that is viable for us here in Canada, whether that's with the U.S. or not. So where do we start that process?
First off, we've got to take retaliatory tariffs off the table because every study I've read, including the most recent excellent speech by the governor of the Bank of Canada only 2 weeks ago in Oakville, Mississauga, showed the incredibly destructive impact of tariffs and counter-tariffs. In fact, here's our position in Canada. Tariffs are terrible. They're hurting us terribly. So let's go put more tariffs on the Canadian people to make us even worse off. That's saying I want to put the house fire out by pouring gasoline on the fire to put out the fire. No, no, no. That's going to make the fire worse, not better. So to your question, we've got to do what you have when you have a breakdown in a relationship. You got to talk face to face and have frank exchange. We need not just a new trade agreement. We need a comprehensive treaty with the United States. We got to sit down. I'm not meaning me. I mean Mr. Carney. He's the national leader. This can only occur at the level of the Prime Minister of Canada, face to face with the President of the United States, and saying, let's have a talk. Mr. President Trump, you say you're the deal maker. You wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. We want to now deal. And then we can put our cards on the table. And by the way, it will not just be about cars. It'll be about the border. illegal immigration. What are we going to do? How do we define them? How do we deal with them? Drugs going both ways. Guns coming across from the U.S. into Canada. We're going to Arctic sovereignty. We're going to have to deal with the totality of our relationship, and this is not even being discussed in this campaign.
Yeah, well, I love how fiery and how feisty you feel about it. I think it expresses how a lot of people feel about it this morning. There is supposed to be a call coming at some point between Mr. Carney and President Trump. We'll find out what the tone of that conversation is and how open both sides are willing to have the conversations that you described this morning. Ian Lee from the Sprott School of Business, thanks for being on this morning.
Thanks very much, Anne-Marie. Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.